are going to continue our look at some terrifying Bible verses. And as we get into this next one, I want to read from 1 Peter. This is not the terrifying Bible verse quite yet, but it starts to set us up for that. So let me read from 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 14 through 16. As obedient children, do not be conformed to the former lusts which were yours in your ignorance, but like the Holy One who called you, be holy yourselves in all your behavior, because it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy. When I think about that verse, it says be holy in all of our behaviors, and that's a pretty high calling, a pretty high bar to get over. And then it says, because it's written, you shall be holy, for I am holy. Now, my holiness is being compared to God's holiness, and quite honestly, that's pretty intimidating, but that's the setup to the next verse, which even takes it to another level. That's in Hebrews 12 and verse 14. That verse says, pursue peace with all people, and the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. That's the piece that kind of gets me. It says, and the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. And it says to pursue that peace. Some translations say pursue, others say strive for. So strive for this holiness without which no one will see the Lord. So we know that if we're going to pursue something or strive for something, that means that we're going to have to put some work into it. It's not a matter of sitting back and letting it float by and grab it or somehow absorb it mystically. It means I'm going to have to work for it, be focused, put some energy into it. That's what it means to strive for something, to pursue something. So this holiness is going to take effort on our part. And if we don't get it, we'll not see the Lord. You know, a few years ago, 2-3 years ago probably now, I was teaching a class and we were talking about holiness. And as we began that discussion, I asked the class to raise their hands if they felt that they were holy, if they considered themselves holy. Please just raise your hand. And I waited a little bit and I got no takers. Not a single hand went up. One person in the middle of class, I said, go ahead. No. I literally got no takers. And this wasn't middle school or fifth graders. These were adults, an adult Bible class, people who regularly attend church, go to Bible class. No one was willing to say that they were holy. So I asked again, reading the verse, and still no one. What do we conclude from that? This verse says, without holiness, no one will see the Lord. And yet in a class of adults in Bible class, no one was willing to say, I'm holy. Do we conclude that we've given up and none of us are going to see the Lord? Surely someone will say, yes, I'm going to see the Lord. I've been pursuing holiness. I'm holy. But not a one. I think that's why this verse is so terrifying to me. I mean, right there it is in the verse. It says, no one will see the Lord if we are not holy. Now, your response may be, well, it doesn't say we have to be holy. It says we have to pursue holy. Okay, but let's not be silly. We're going to pursue something all of our lives and never ever obtain some measure of it that we can say that's who I am, that's a part of who I am. And Peter, in the verse we started with, in verses 14 through 16, says, be holy yourselves. So let's not be silly about, it's only going to pursue it. We don't have to. No, we need to be holy if we want to see the Lord. So maybe the problem is that we aren't pursuing it. You know, honestly, I believe in many of our churches today, we don't take up this discussion, this effort of pursuing holiness. The churches I've been to certainly haven't. I've talked to other people, and there are some books out there these days from other people who said, we've kind of given up on holiness. And that's terrifying to me. When I read that verse, you will not see the Lord unless you're holy, and our churches aren't talking about holiness. That's terrifying. It really is. Because we pursue many things in our churches. We pursue church attendance. We want people to be there occupying a pew every time the doors are open. We push that. We promote church attendance. We promote numerical growth. We want to grow in numbers. We promote Bible knowledge. That's a good thing, but we certainly promote Bible knowledge, and we promote doctrinal correctness. We want to be right, and we compare ourselves to the church down the street or around the corner and why we think we're correct and they're not. And we clearly pursue doctrinal correctness. And individually, many of us pursue a worship service that's to our liking. Well, I go to that church because I like the singing, and we pursue a preacher that's articulate and entertaining. We might say that's not why we go, but when we say things, oh, I like that preacher, what we mean is we enjoy the time. He's articulate, he's entertaining. And we pursue a home church, a home congregation that offers the programs that we can take advantage of and get benefit from. So we pursue a number of things related to church. But are we pursuing holiness? When was the last time you were aware of a congregation that spent a lot of time actively working on pursuing holiness in their lives? I have trouble thinking of any. But when we step back and think about this, Bible knowledge, doctrinal correctness, spiritual maturity, a servant attitude within ours that reflects Jesus' attitude, all of those will fall short if we're not pursuing God's holiness within us. It's only when we pursue the holiness of God to be in us, then all those other things start to blossom and mature into what they can be, into what God has called us to be. If we're not pursuing holiness in our lives, then we're relying on ourselves. If we're not wanting and desiring and working on God's holiness to be in us, then we're just relying on ourselves, and that is a recipe for failure. That terrifies me. It terrifies me to see so few of our churches really pursuing holiness, because as the verse says, without that holiness, we will not see God. That says it clearly. I believe we need to pursue holiness far more than we do, and I haven't done that enough in my life, and many of our churches aren't, and that honestly terrifies me. We have one more terrifying verse that we're going to look at in our videos, and I've saved this next verse because it's the one that honestly terrifies me personally the most. So we'll look at that in our next video. And then after that, we're going to turn to some of those beautiful verses, some of those wonderful things. Having established that there's plenty of reasons to be terrified, the question is, how do we respond to that? And we'll spend some time doing that as well. So I hope you'll continue to be a part of our study. I hope to see you in the next video.